Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Board of Directors of Junior Achievement, I would like to welcome everyone to this wonderful evening. This is the 33rd Annual Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame dinner. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be here tonight. We will pay tribute to some brilliant entrepreneurs and community leaders throughout our service area. We are dedicating tonight's program to the memory of past laureate of the Business Hall of Fame, who we lost last month, John Ford. Please join me in a brief moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. At this time, will members of the Board of Directors of Junior Achievement please rise? I know most of them are actually back here, but if there's any sitting down, could you please rise? Everybody give them a round of applause. These are the folks that make this happen. I also want to thank all of you for the support of our programs. Throughout the course of this year, we're going to be able to bring all of our programs to over 4,000 students in our service area. So a round of applause for that as well. Junior Achievement serves schools in 14 counties in eastern Indiana with JA programming, and we're always in need of more classroom volunteering. So on your table, you'll see a card from Melissa Davis. If there's anyone that's interested in being a classroom volunteer, we are always taking those folks, so would love to have you. Now on with the show, I would like to introduce and give special thanks to our MC for this evening. You guys hear him probably every morning if you listen to G1013. It's our good friend, Rick Duncan.
I don't know why they don't give him a box. I have to tilt this thing every year. Okay. Good evening and welcome to our ceremony this evening. So glad you could all make it. And please join me in welcoming our 2024 honorees and their families. Our first laureate tonight, Vern Klingenpeel, retired from First Bank Richmond, escorted tonight by his friend Leo Russell. Our second laureate tonight for induction, Bob Dickman from BSN Sports, escorted tonight by his wife Rhonda and sister Debbie. Close behind is Dan Dickman from BSN Sports, escorted by his sons Cliff and Nathan. I thought Dan was going to run and just jump off the end of the stage like he was ready. And also tonight, Phil Dickman from BSN Sports, escorted tonight by his sisters Linda Major and Carolyn Stevens. By the way, the Dickmans now my new official favorite laureates, just so you know. I was paid good money to say that. So there you go. I hear Gary Clear in the back already. So our final laureate tonight for induction is Kent and Paula Reineking from Kent's Marina. To our 2024 laureates tonight, we honor you for giving not only of your time, your talents, and your enthusiasm, but also your community, and for your passionate leadership in encouraging and inspiring others to do the same. Those being honored tonight join a list of outstanding individuals and respected leaders who have made legendary contributions to the free enterprise system, invested in the growth and success of the community, and inspired the next generation. It's the 33rd commemoration of the JA Eastern Indiana Business Hall of Fame, and we're fortunate to have many of our past honorees in attendance tonight. All past laureates being escorted by JA students from Seton Catholic, Richmond Community, and Nettle Creek Schools. Paul Lingle, laureate from 1996. Cliff Dickman, laureate from 2001. Gallo and Linda Molina, laureates from 2010. Gary Clear, laureate from 2015. Just so you know, I can be bought. Bob Beaver, laureate from 2016. Jeff Jackson, laureate from 2017. Eric Van Vliet, laureate from 2018. Deborah Edelman, laureate from 2019. Dr. Dick Siebert, laureate from 2020, represented by his wife, Mary Siebert. Roger Golden, laureate from 2021. George Farrell, laureate from 2022. Kevin A. House, laureate from 2023. Tom Cox, laureate from 2023. Brenda and Jim McLean, laureates from 2023. And last but certainly not least, Jeff Sheridan, laureate from 2023. Thank you all for being here and being a part of tonight's festivities. And will you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, led by JA student Case Towns. Following the pledge, remain standing as the invocation will be given by JA student Caitlin Scheiben.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together tonight to celebrate junior achievement and its honorees. Please bless the hands that prepared our food, those who made this event possible, and those who serve our community. Help us remember our purpose in life is to serve others and honor you. In your name we pray, amen.
One of my favorite parts of being an MC at any event is I get to say, you may be seated. You have so much power. You have no idea how much power that is. All right, so the lovely centerpieces that are on your tables tonight, they're amazing, put together by Leaning Lily. And there's a special JA candle right in the middle, made and donated by our friends at Warm Glow Candles. Anyone interested in taking that home? I'm going to think of a number. No, that's not true. So what we're going to do is look under your bread plate. The person with a yellow card gets to take that centerpiece home. There you go. Congratulations. I mean, every table has one. Like, you're not getting them all. Like, so, by the way, make sure you remove that card from those plates too. Make sure you remove the card. We don't want the waitstaff to have to tear through all these plates when they do dishes. All right, so before we get to dinner, which will be amazing, it's first time for the world's fastest fundraiser for junior achievement. The goal is to raise $1,500 in 15 seconds. Seems like a lofty goal, but we all look like we can do it. And the lovely Lori Carr is here with our dessert platter donated by Reed Health. So the winner of the fastest fundraiser, the table that raises the most, will leave with most of this. We're going to take some of it before you get it, but most of this is yours. We'll try at least a little bit of it. We'll put it back. So all you have to do is raise the most money. There are envelopes at your table. So all you have to do is collect as much money as you can in 15 seconds. Whatever table gets the most gets that platter. Are you ready? Again, cash, check. Put your credit card in there if you want to. If you left your wallet at home, just put your phone in the envelope. We'll figure it out. Are you ready? Get set, Go. 15 seconds from now. Let's go. You're eating. You're not supposed to be eating. You're supposed to be putting money in the envelope. All right, let's fill those envelopes. Hurry, hurry. Time is wasted. 10 seconds left. Dig deep. 7, 6, 5, 4. Hurry up. Grab as much as you can. 3, 2, 1. Okay, well done. If you're still putting money in there, that's fine too. Keep going. It's okay. So keep in mind, every $25 sponsors a JA kid. Did you know that every $25 sponsors a JA student? So by all means, continue to collect that money. Someone will come around from JA and collect those envelopes. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your dinner. The festivities will begin in just a little bit. Thank you. If I could have your attention for one quick second, we have tallied up our fastest fundraiser. We did not raise the $1,500 we were hoping for. We actually got $3,700. Yeah, and our giant dessert platter goes to table 31. There you go. Congratulations, and there it is, being delivered right now. Our program will get started in just about 5 minutes. All right, if you're still eating, that's okay. Continue to eat. It's all good. We're just going to get the program started. And we need to start by thanking a lot of sponsors making this evening possible. Thank you to tonight's title sponsor, BSN Sports. Also our banquet sponsors, First Bank Richmond and Reed Health. Guest reception sponsors are A House Tool and Engineering, BNF Plastics, Bolt Media, and Molina Properties. And table sponsors, BBFCS Attorneys and Brady Ware. Big thanks also to our contributing sponsors, Friends Fellowship Community, Indiana University East, Kents Harbor Incorporated, Primex Plastics, Smorelli General Contractors, and Wayne Bank. Thank you to our Youth Leadership Award sponsors, Andrea Mosey, Better Homes and Gardens First Realty Group, Lisa and Craig Kenyon, and Primex Plastics. Also, a big thank you to Angelina's Bridal for the tuxedo. Also, Leaning Lily, Meyer, Novella Imagery, Reed Marketing, and Warm Glow Candle Company. Big round of applause for all of our sponsors for making tonight possible. It's the kind of generosity to an event like this that really makes you feel special in a community as close as ours is. And please join me in welcoming tonight Melissa Davis, District Director for Junior Achievement of Eastern Indiana.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank you once again for attending this year's 33rd Annual Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame. I'm thrilled to be inducting 6 incredible individuals into our Business Hall of Fame this evening. Over the past several months, I have been able to speak with them, their families, and their closest friends, and learn about their lives, all the successes they've had in business, their huge impact on the community. And let me tell you, it's impressive. I got to sit down with Mr. C and his wife and daughter, who are just some of the sweetest people you will ever meet. I think I'd probably follow Mr. C anywhere. What do you think, Gary? I learned so much about the Dickman brothers and their impact on Kessler's and BSN Sports, and flying planes to do business. Wow. And then the Reinekings right in my backyard on Brookville Lake, where I have grown up, to learn about their story. I was truly amazed. All of tonight's laureates are truly deserving of this honor, and I look forward to celebrating each of them this evening. Thank you again to our incredible sponsors tonight who have helped make this event possible. If you aren't familiar with JA and our mission, at JA we envision a world where young people have the skill set and mindset to build thriving communities. We offer programs and learning experiences to schools and other organizations like libraries, Boys and Girls Clubs, free of charge, that focus on financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship. Most of our programs are presented in the classroom by a trained JA volunteer from the community. Any one of you could be a JA volunteer, some of you are, that teach students about these important life concepts. We cover over 7 counties in Indiana. We are now actually up to 14 counties. And last year served 3,960 students. We continue to grow every year, serving more schools, more students, and offering new and engaging learning opportunities. I'll tell you, it sure is fun to teach second graders about jobs and skills needed for those jobs. And yes, we teach the word entrepreneur to kindergartners. At JA, we are helping to prepare kiddos for a brighter future. It's our hope that one day the student in that kindergarten JA class will grow up and be inducted into the JA Business Hall of Fame. Now I would like to bring out our MC, Rick Duncan, back on stage for a special presentation before we begin tonight's induction ceremony. Thank you.
So tonight, Junior Achievement is introducing an award to their Business Hall of Fame that focuses on the youth in our community. This year, they're recognizing an individual that encompasses leadership in both athletics and academics. Tonight's honorees best described by the following accomplishments. Member of the National Honor Society, current overall GPA of 4.1, and on track to receive an honors diploma. A 2-time basketball sectional champion, Kyle Guy Top 24 Camp in Indiana, 2-time All-Wedding Team, 2-time Franklin County All-Tourney Team, AAU Under Armour Circuit Honorable Mention, PAAC Conference Honorable Mention in the 9th grade, PAA Conference Second Team in the 10th grade. As a junior, he was PAAC Conference First Team, All-State Honorable Mention, and Team MVP, plus the 765 All-Area Team and the Top 100 Prospects in Indiana. And as a senior, PAAC Conference Player of the Year, First Team, first all-time three-point leader at Seton, plus all-time scoring over 1,500 points, second in Seton history, also second all-time in rebounding, and all-time blocks leader at Seton Catholic High School. In the entire state of Indiana in 2024, he was 29th in scoring, 4th in rebounding, 11th in free throws, 6th in block shots, and tied for 3rd in double-doubles. You don't have to just picture it in your mind, though, because we've got highlights, too. Check them out. Okay, I'll just act it out. So what he's doing was, a quick personal note. So my son Cole and Mason are the same age and have competed against each other in high school and AAU and everything else. And in the words of my son Cole, Mason Harvey is a tough bucket. So please welcome Mason Harvey. 2024 Junior Achievement Youth Leadership Award. You're going to make him wind all through all the chairs and tables. Congratulations.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Junior Achievement for this award and recognition. I would like to thank I would like to thank Seton Catholic Schools. I'd like to thank my teammates, who are also my best friends. My senior year was as fun as it could be. I would like to thank all my coaches over the years, and especially Coach Juergens, for his dedication the last 4 years in making me a better player and developing my game. I would also like to thank him for allowing me to shoot 33 pointers and not yelling at me for it. I'd like to thank my mom. Even though when I had a bad game, she was there to tell me how good I did. I'd like to thank my dad, because even when I had a good game, he was there to tell me what I could do better. I'd also like to thank the rest of my family for always supporting me. And I'd like to thank Reed Health trainers for getting me back after injuries. I had a lot of them. Finally, I'd like to thank all the Seton fans for supporting me and my teammates over the years. Thank you.
It's not often I have to adjust the mic down, so. All right, let's begin. For the past 3 decades, we've recognized those individuals who have played a major role in helping shape the business environment in Eastern Indiana. Tonight's inductees are no exception. These individuals, along with each of our past laureates, identified a need and had a dream and acted upon it, often breaking new ground in the process. And in a few moments, we're going to add 6 more names to the Eastern Indiana Business Hall of Fame. Like the leaders who preceded them, these 2024 laureates truly are role models whose stories should be shared with our young people and preserved for future generations. And that's the purpose of the JA Business Hall of Fame, to identify the leaders, past and present, also tell their compelling stories and celebrate their successes, and to motivate our next generation of entrepreneurs, business, and community leaders. Our first recipient of the night is a definition of both a leader and a friend, Vern Klingenpeel.
Laverne E. Klingenpeel was born in Amboy, Indiana on October 14, 1939, to parents Adrian and Esther Klingenpeel. He grew up in Amboy and rural Greentown, Indiana, and went to Eastern Howard School Corporation, graduating in April 1957. He continued his education with various college-level and banking industry courses, and graduated from the Graduate School of Banking in Madison, Wisconsin in August 1972. After graduating high school, Vern started working at First National Bank of Kokomo, Indiana in June 1957. His high school business teacher had pointed him in the direction of banking, and his interest took root when he was asked to work at the bank. He started with an entry-level job in the mailroom and moved to a teller, working there 2.5 years. It was at the bank that he met his wife, Ruth Ann Sweet, as she made bank deposits at the bank for her employer. They were married on October 9, 1960. In October 1959, he became the assistant cashier at State Bank in Amboy, Indiana, and worked here for 11 years until January 1971. From January 1965 to November 1970, he started a small accounting business specializing in income tax return preparations. In January 1971, he left State Bank of Amboy and moved to People's State Bank in Cambridge City, where he was Administrative Vice President and Corporate Secretary. It was in Cambridge City that Vern became popularly known as Mr. C. In January 1983, First National Bank Richmond purchased People's Bank, and for 4.5 years, Mr. C served as vice president with lending and oversight of the county branch operation duties. Upon the merger of First National and Bank One, he became VP of Bank One Richmond, serving as regional branch coordinator, loan officer, and business specialist. He served in those capacities from September 1987 to November 1996. Then, in January 1997, he moved to First Bank Richmond, where he was Vice President of Business Development. He stayed at First Bank Richmond until his retirement in March of 2004.
I have known Mr. C for over 30 years and worked with him since 1989. I first met Mr. C when we were both at Bank One. He was Mr. Cambridge City. He had moved there in 1971 to work for People's State Bank and was the definition of a community banker. He treated his customers like family, his employees with respect, and the community loved him.
37 years ago, Jill and I moved to Cambridge City, and we didn't know anybody. We were outsiders. And one of the first people we met and actually embraced us was Mr. C, as everyone calls him, or Vern. He just instantly became someone we trusted and a friend for now 37 years.
I very first met Mr. C when I started working at People's State Bank in Cambridge City. And that was in 1978, and I was just 18 years old. And thinking back, I'm sure at that time, I just thought I was meeting my boss. But now in retrospect and years later, I realize I was meeting someone much more than that. I was meeting my life mentor, both professionally and personally. And I was also meeting a wonderful person that I now call a dear friend for life.
After retiring from the banking industry, Mr. C spent the next 11 and a half years providing private fiduciary services. Mr. C says that the support and guidance of his family, friends, colleagues, and community associates have had an immeasurable importance on his life and work. He learned important lessons from his parents. His father taught him to accept what life's hand deals you without complaining. Throughout 15 years of a terminal illness, he never heard his father complain or become angry. His mother taught him that hard work doesn't hurt you. She sold produce from their truck patch and chickens and goats while working a night shift factory job and being his dad's healthcare provider. He is very proud of his wife, Ruth Ann, and his children, Julie and Jeff, and say they've always supported him in everything. He also feels humbled to be part of the Wayne County banking and business communities. It has been important to him to listen to many colleagues who have mentored him and nurtured his personal and professional growth.
He represents qualities of caring for people. To me, he is a definition of what a friend is. He's a definition of a leader, and he's a definition of a human. Someone you can be around and trust. And so he cares for everybody that he's speaking with. He is present with them while he is speaking with them, and you feel it and you know it.
Mr. C has been deeply involved in the Cambridge City and Wayne County community. He has served as a board member for the following organizations: Cambridge City Chamber of Commerce, Golay Community Center, Wayne County Foundation, Reed Hospital Foundation, Cambridge City Public Library, and Junior Achievement of Wayne County, 1976 through 78. At the Golay Center, he was a founding board member and was involved in the building of the community center. At the library, he served on the board during the new building decision and construction. He was a financial liaison during the construction of the Dublin Village Senior Apartments. He served as a co-chair for the 2nd and 3rd Annual Cambridge City Canal Days Festival, was a founding member and officer of the Cambridge City New Day Kiwanis, and was treasurer for the Ann Harmeyer Scholarship Corporation. He was also a guest classroom presenter at various times throughout his career. He was named Western Wayne Citizen of the Year in 2003 and selected as the Canal Days Parade Grand Marshal in 2018. He has also been very involved in Cambridge City Christian Church as a financial secretary, elder, deacon, trustee, Sunday school teacher, Bible study facilitator, and at times pastoral calling.
Mr. C has been involved in almost every community organization and event in Western Wayne County. He's volunteered countless hours of community service and has done so with enthusiasm of a community servant. He has received almost every award given in Cambridge City, and every one of them is well deserved.
When I think of Mr. C having a lasting legacy, the only way I feel like I can describe it is it's his very own Mr. C legacy. He's just a wonderful person, and people that know him I think will know what I'm saying when I say that, because he's his own person and he has done so many things and for the right reasons that I think that's his legacy there, is he just lives a good life and does things for the right reason.
Mr. C has been fully retired since 2015. He's enjoyed spending his time with his family, including his 2 grandchildren, Ben and Kai, who he loves tremendously. He also enjoys specialized stamp collecting, genealogy, and investing. He's been a shining light in his community for decades. When asked what he hoped people would remember about him, he replied that I walked humbly and served my customers and community well by exceeding their expectations. The community should have no trouble agreeing that Mr. C has, in fact, exceeded everyone's expectations with the time, talent, and treasure given to his community. Junior Achievement is proud to honor one of this year's laureates for their 2024 Business Hall of Fame, Mr. Vern Klingenpeel.
Please. Leo, thank you for being my escort. And I'll tell you, it's a very humbling experience to be just in the presence of everyone here, but particularly on the stage here with the Dickmans and the Reinekings and all the previous laureates that are here this evening. It is truly a blessing. I would like to just mention a few people that have impacted my banking career. And I go back to Amboy that was mentioned there, and my boss there was Herman Agnes. And Herm was a father figure to me because I'd lost my father at an early age. And he kick-started my banking career, got me on the road. He gave me the opportunity to learn by experience and to learn by my mistakes, which I did, I hope. One of my mistakes was my first loan. Okay. Saturday morning, a young man comes in, he wants to borrow for a motorcycle loan. Okay, fine. And Herm said, he's coming in, you take care of it. And in those days, we didn't have any credit bureaus that were open on Saturday. And, well, everything looked good, employment good. So I made the loan. Borrow never made payment 1 and disappeared. I learned by experience. Bud Swallow, Raymond Swallow Jr. also, gave me the opportunity to come to Cambridge City. Bud was he's a quiet fellow, a great encourager, a great listener, a quiet, behind-the-scenes, get-her-done. That was the type it was. Ruth Ann and I appreciate ever so much the lifetime friendship that we've had with the Swallow family. They were just great. Gary Clear, along with Bob Fix, gave me the opportunity to work for First Bank. Most enjoyable part of my banking career. And I thank you, Gary and Bob, ever so much. One memorable thing there was the dress-up day that we had. A customer came in a few days later and said, how are you going to dress up? I said, I don't think I will. Oh, you got to. So I said, I'll think about it. Well, the staff got to encouraging me, cajoling me, if you want to say. And This customer had just the item, a black leather motorcycle outfit. You'd look good in it, John. So I wore it, and you saw the results on the video. My customers, when they came in, they either laughed out loud or they just shook their head. Debbie Prather, as she said on the video, began working with us in 1978. It has been a privilege working with you, Debbie. We went through a lot of bank mergers. We did. You are truly a professional. You and Craig are great friends to our family. I am very privileged to be a part of Wayne County, to be a part of particularly the western Wayne County and the surrounding counties. As has been said, I had the privilege of working on the building of the Golay Center and the library. Good memories. I'm very appreciative and blessed by my family, my wife Ruth Ann, our children Jeff and Laura, Jeff and Julie, and their families. I'm allowed one goof, right? John and Jenny, Bonnie and Ben, been great encouragement, great friendships. My great church family. My Friends Fellowship family now. What a great place to spend retirement days there at Friends Fellowship. Just a quick kind of testimonial a little bit. Yesterday, one of the employees of Friends Fellowship saw me in the hallway and she said, I see you're going to be getting an award tomorrow night, JA. She said, I was involved with JA back in 1986 or so. And she said, it was the most encouraging, the best thing that probably ever happened in my life. And you could just tell she was very, very appreciative. She told me that she received an award locally as the top vice president of production and later got to attend the national convention, which just meant a lot. So I say this to you folks. Keep making a difference, keep mentoring, and keep encouraging and supporting our young people. Please. Thank you, JA, for this honor. God bless.
By the way, don't let him fool you. Ruth Ann had to talk him out of wearing that motorcycle outfit tonight. That is a true story. Anyway, so as we continue on there, ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Mr. C for Cling Appeal. Our next recipients are the hometown boys who became the leaders of the sporting goods industry, the Dickman brothers, Bob, Phil, and Dan.
Cliff and Martha Dickman had 8 children: Debbie, Bob, Linda, Ted, Carolyn, Phil, Dan, and Cindy. 3 of the boys, Bob, Phil, and Dan, worked in and eventually took over the family business of Kessler Sports Shop. All boys were born and raised in Richmond, Indiana. Growing up in Richmond, the brothers remembered being surrounded by family and friends, lots of playgrounds and ball fields nearby, and childhood jobs such as mowing yards and having a PAL item route every year. The most important lessons learned from their parents were hard work and treating others with respect. They watched their father over the years and how he ran a successful business by working hard and showing respect to anyone he crossed paths with. Bob, Phil, and Dan all graduated from Richmond High School in 1976, 1982, and 1986 respectively. All were Indiana University grads. Bob graduated from IU East with an associate in business administration. Phil received a BA in economics, and Dan received a BS in accounting from IU Bloomington. Kessler's was a sporting goods business that Cliff Dickman purchased in 1958. So the brothers grew up around the family business, working there throughout high school, and it was almost expected that they would eventually take over. However, their interest in making a career out of the family business peaked at different times. Bob knew at the age of 14 that he wanted to work in the family business and started full-time at Kessler's right out of high school in 1976. After the unexpected death of his uncle in 1982, Bob assumed management of the business. During Bob's first years, he determined that they had to grow or they wouldn't survive long term. In 1984, his father Cliff rejoined the business after 8 years as mayor. They started their growth strategy in 1985, but it really exploded in 1997 to propel Kessler's into the industry spotlight, earning their spot as the largest team sports dealer in the nation. Phil joined the business after graduating from IU in 1986. He moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where he guided 3 recently acquired Kessler's locations and stayed there until returning to Richmond in 1990. At that time, the business was on a course for faster growth, and Phil needed to be located at the main offices. Up until this point, they had been in retail and team sales simultaneously, but this had become difficult to sustain. They decided to focus on team sales. After Dan spent about 5 years as an audit manager in Indianapolis, followed by 3 years as director of HR for a company in Atlanta, Georgia, he returned to Richmond in 1997, becoming the CFO of Kessler's Team Sports. In 2004, Kessler's was acquired by BSN Sports. This sale changed the industry completely, and for the past 20 years, the Dickmans have helped BSN Sports grow into one of the largest sporting goods companies in the world. All 3 brothers are still heavily involved in the day-to-day operations of BSN Sports.
In 1997, I joined Kessler Team Sports along with the 5 sales pros that were working with me at the time in Columbus, Ohio. That acquisition started the ball rolling with many others. In Ohio, we furthered our footprint in Illinois that same year. You fast forward to 2004, we were actually the acquirees. What we know today as BSN Sports purchased Kessler's Team Sports, and at the time we had grown into other parts of the country. You fast forward even further into today, 20 some years later, we're still growing through acquisitions, and guess what? The Dickman brothers are first and foremost making those things happen. So the things that they started back in the late 1990s are still happening today, and that's how BSN has become so successful today. What you see from Bob, Phil, and Dan in the community, regardless of what's going on, is this exact same person that you will find in the workplace. They don't have a demanding work style that is a hard-fisted type thing. You want to work with and for these people the way they treat you and the way they conduct themselves in and out of their business days.
They each bring a different skill set to the table. Phil is a strategic thinker. Dan has the financial skills to know how to do it. And Bob, as he would say, has the good looks and vision. Bob has never seen anything with an engine that he didn't like, and since all purchases are a collaboration, Phil reluctantly goes along with it, and Dan usually goes along kicking and screaming all the way.
You know, 2 words that come to mind when I think about the Dickmans, even the whole family, it's character. They're an unusual family in today's world because, I mean, they bleed character. They're great people. They're great to be around. They care about other people. And my favorite word is loyalty. In a world that needs more loyalty, they are great at loyalty. They appreciate who works with them, who works for them. They appreciate friendships, and you know what? We just get along so well because they're just great people to be around, including their family.
Their involvement in the community has ranged from coaching youth sports to serving on boards. Bob is served with the Richmond Noon Kiwanis Club, Richmond Evening Optimist Club, Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, Richmond City Council, and Wayne County Sheriff's Department Merit Board. Phil has served on the Board of Directors for Wayne County Chamber of Commerce, Main Street Richmond, Boys and Girls Club of Wayne County, Reed Hospital Foundation, Forest Hills Country Club, Richmond Power and Light, and also served one term on Richmond City Council. Dan served on the Main Street Richmond Board for 10 years. They've also been involved with JA through volunteering and sponsoring. Phil was a high school classroom volunteer in the late 90s. Dan and his wife Angie taught a JA program in Atlanta, and then Dan was on the JA board in Richmond for 2 years. And all three are active members of the Seton Catholic Church. They are very proud of their families. Bob and his wife of 43 years, Rhonda, have 3 children, Katie, Jane, and Samuel, and 6 grandchildren, Nora, Margot, Ellen, Gus, Tucker, and Fitz. Phil and his wife of 35 years, Millie, have 3 children, Henry, Lillian, and George, and 1 grandchild, Arthur. Dan and his wife Angie, married for 31 years, have 3 children, Cliff, Sarah, and Nathan. Both their immediate and extended family have been a huge support for them throughout the years, and they feel fortunate to have worked alongside each other, their parents, and other siblings during their career. They said everyone got along so well together. In fact, Dan says they never argue over business. They each knew their roles and trusted the others. Other than spending time with their families, they also enjoy hobbies such as boating, camping, pickleball, skiing, attending sporting events, and flying. Bob learned how to fly planes and then used that to help grow the business. Dan says some of the most exciting times in business were the trips taken in the small airplanes, flying around the country, acquiring team dealers. They did 12 acquisitions in 6 years.
Bob, Phil, and Dan are excellent business people and great stewards of our community. They grew up here, worked here, and Richmond will always be their home. The sporting goods industry has been very good to them. It has introduced them to people that most of us will never get a chance to meet. They are very well respected in the industry, and it has been a great career choice for each of them.
In addition to their families, they recognize many others who have supported them along the way. Some of the most important are their employees, who quickly became their key to success. They built a strong team and empowered them. They all had a desire to serve customers to their very best ability. The brothers hope people remember that Kessler's was a good place to shop and work, and that it was managed with respect for others, competitive but fair, and with the acquired instinct to seize new opportunities. Junior Achievement is proud to honor 3 of this year's laureates for their 2024 Business Hall of Fame: Bob, Phil, and Dan Dickman.
Just one speech, everybody can relax.
Yeah. So if you're going to take a bathroom break, this is your chance. So thank you. So like Bob said, I am going to speak on behalf of us, so don't worry that you're going to hear 3 speeches up here. But thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to the JA board for selecting us. Criteria must have slipped a little bit to bring us into the fold. Thank you, Melissa Davis, for all of your work on this. We appreciate that. There's been a lot of effort into putting this together and running the JA organization. We appreciate that. And thank you to Lori Carr. Lori, you've been great in helping organize this event. I think you're one of the main organizers, and we appreciate all the work and effort. We've kidded that you guys must have hit the bottom of the barrel to bring us on to the Hall of Fame board here, and I think we confirmed it tonight because I heard Lori back there asking some of the former honorees if they would go for a second time around. So I think And congratulations to Mr. C and to the Reineckes. Thank you for honoring them as well. This is great. We're truly honored to be here tonight. Thank you, Gary Clear, for making all that stuff up for us on the video. So, you know, when Mr. C talked about his first client, their customer that didn't pay, I think Gary probably wondered a few times along our way, are these guys going to pay their loan back? We borrowed a lot of money from the bank, and a few times it was a little scary, but we got through it. So thank you, Gary, for all of your years of friendship and advice. You were instrumental in part of our success, and we appreciate that over all these years. Thank you. And also, we want to thank Bob Beaver, because Bob has been our attorney for years, kept us out of trouble. You've been involved in a lot of these transactions that Steve mentioned there, and so you've been a great advocate for us and watching out for us. We appreciate that. Thank you. So, and also Steve Carloni and Dan Sockeld, they participated in this video. Steve drove all the way from Columbus, Ohio to Bourbonnais, Illinois to do his part of this, so we appreciate that. We'll touch on Steve here in a little bit, but a lot of our success, we feel, definitely revolved around our employees. You know, if you surround yourself with good people, good things happen. And so we made sure that we surrounded ourselves with good people that wanted to do the right thing, service the customers, and serve with integrity and honesty. And we had a lot of employees, hundreds of employees over the years that were great for Kessler's and are still with BSN today. We have a number of employees that were with Kessler's that went on to do great things. They worked for us in their high school years, college years, and they went on to excellent careers. Justin Scheibman's here tonight. Justin was with us at one point in his career. Sorry that we called you out on that, Justin, but you're one of our alumni. So we've had a lot of good fortune in that regard. But Steve Carloni's one guy we want to kind of call out, because you heard from Steve, and Steve's like the brother I never had.
That's not in the script.
We nicknamed Steve a number of years ago the Doctor. We call him the Doctor because Steve fixed everything for us. When we brought Steve's group on, as he mentioned in the video, in 1997, we saw that he was a guy that was like us and was going to be part of our team. And so Steve was basically, we were a foursome. And Steve's been with us the entire way. It's been unbelievable. The trust that we have in him, the trust he has in us, and it's just been a really unique relationship, and it's been special. And Steve's still an important person in BSN sports to this day. As we continue to grow, I think our sales this past year were at about $1.6 billion. So things have changed a little bit in the last 20 years, but it's been a lot of fun. So thank you, Steve, for your friendship and your work on our behalf. We tried to get Steve to move to Richmond a long time ago. He lives in Columbus, Ohio, but he could not leave his beloved Buckeye football team, so we could not get him to move to Richmond, which...
we got a bodyguard to get you out of here.
So... And our loyal customers, so over all of these years, from back when our dad had taken over the business, they built up a loyalty with the coaches and the athletic directors and our retail customers. And it was just an important part of what helped us grow and helped be the foundation for our business. And so we can't thank all our loyal customers enough for all these years of staying with us. So I guess moving on to our family a little bit here. So bear with us a little. You saw we have a big family, and there's a number of them fortunately here with us tonight, and we want to recognize them. But first I want to recognize our three wives, because they had to endure. We went through about a 12-year period where we were gone quite a bit during this huge growth period we had, and we were traveling a lot. We were with, customers and in offices and so forth in a lot of different states. And so our wives and their family had to kind of see us disappear every once in a while. And so I want to recognize Bob's wife, Rhonda. Rhonda, if you want to stand up. And my wife, Millie. Yep. And Dan's wife, Angie. So thank you all three of you. And also our children, I know they were mentioned on the slide, but Bob and Rhonda's children were Katie and Jane and Sam. Millie and I's children were Henry and Lillian and George, and Dan and Angie's kids are Cliff and Nathan and Sarah, and Cliff and Nathan are here with us tonight, so we're glad to have you guys here. But you guys had to do a little sacrifice too over the years with us being out and about and on the go. So, and then I want to introduce our tables, if you don't mind, quickly. We'll try to, if you can bear with us on this. So over here at this table we have with Bob and Rhonda's family, we have Rhonda's father, Ron Rogers, and even Ron retired from his regular career, and then he actually came to work for us at Kessler's there and helped keep a lot of people in line in the warehouse. We were able to retain him for minimum wage, and so. And then we have Millie's sister Julie and her husband Sam Kane, and thank you for being here. And Millie's mom Mary Siebert. So thank you all for being here. And then we have here with Steve Carloni at one of the main tables here, we have our brother Ted and his wife Kim. So there is another brother in the family, and he was smart enough to stay out of the business. So, and then Dan's sons Cliff and Nathan are here. Well, thank you guys for joining us as well tonight. And then we have the table that our parents are seated. Those two started all of this mess. And so we have our sister Carolyn and her husband Jim Stevens. Carolyn actually worked for us for, I don't know how many years, a long time. We talked her into taking charge of our embroidery division, and she ran that very well for a number of years. So she actually worked with us, and that was kind of fun over all those years. So thank you, Carolyn. And then our sister, who's the oldest sister, she's the matriarch of the kids, Debbie, and her husband, Dr. Marty Hanneman. And then all the way from South Carolina, our sister Linda and her husband Dave Major. And then our mom and dad, Martha Jane and Cliff Dickman. And we think they did a pretty good job of raising this family. They ran things pretty strict, and probably that's something that's an attribute that needs to be employed more these days. We remember there was one quick story a number of years ago. Dan and I enjoyed this immensely. Bob and Ted were having a big fight one day when they were younger. These guys were probably,
That's Ted.
they were probably middle school age, and Dad had it. He was done. And so he went out and went in the garage and started carving a wood paddle. And Dan and I couldn't wait to see the action. And Dad's out there drilling holes in the paddle so he can swing it faster. And Bob and Ted, oh my gosh, it was great watching these guys squirm. And that paddle sat, after they took their beating there that day, that paddle sat on top of the fridge, and that was the ultimate scare tactic from that day forward.
We didn't have child services back then.
But so our mom here, she raises 8 children, goes through all of that hard work over all these years, and then somehow we talked her into coming to work up to the store with us, and she worked in our accounts payable department. And one of the things that turned into be, we didn't realize it at the time, but she was kind of adding this secret sauce to our success, was she made sure we paid our vendors on time. She would not let a invoice be late in payment, and we would go to her. We knew we were short on cash, and we'd say, hold off on these checks for a couple of days, don't mail them yet. And she'd say, we are paying these people on time. And so Mom got our vendors paid on time, which turned out to help us because our vendors loved us because we paid them on time. And so they were some of our biggest advocates. Was we were growing the company. They were out telling other dealers that these guys are salt of the earth. They're guys of their word. They'll pay their bills. They do what they say. And so our mom was very helpful in making sure that happened. We didn't even realize at the time how much it was helping us out. So thank you, Mom. And I know she's always said we underpaid her as well. Everybody says we underpaid. But and then our dad, obviously, when he came back to the business after his 8 years serving as mayor of Richmond, that was the time when things were starting to change for us and for our company, and we started to take a focus in the team business and move away a little bit from the retail side of things. And he did a great job of coming back in and adapting to the new environment. The technology age had started at that time, and things were really progressing quickly. And he was able to give us advice, guide us, but not hold us back. And he allowed us to take these chances that Gary helped fund in loans with the bank. And it was scary at times, but he had the faith in us, and we all had the backing of each other, and that was important. And we knew what we were working towards, what our goal was, and we were confident we were going to get there. And he helped support us the whole way through that, and it was really important to our success. So we appreciate what he built to kind of give us a foundation to get started, and then he kind of let us go to take it to another level from there. So we appreciate that, Dad, for all you did for us and the guidance, and you two as a team, unbelievable. Our parents always supported each other, backed each other up. When Dad would come home from work, if one of us acted up, and Mom said, so-and-so acted up, he would induce the punishment. And but it worked. They were a great team at that. So one of the things we, when it was talked about in there, was about the airplane. And the airplane, Bob talked Dan and I into that, and turned out to be a pretty big important factor for us in a couple of different ways. One, it helped us expand our reach, and all of a sudden we were going to Georgia and Iowa and Oklahoma and Arkansas with offices that we probably wouldn't have done if we hadn't had the aircraft. But the other beauty of it was it allowed us to get back home to our families. So, kind of start to wrap this up here, but we were a good team. It was called out. You know, we all brought something unique to the company, along with Steve. It was a great time in our lives, and we really enjoyed it. We did not argue, which is amazing. We did not have fights. We came to consensus pretty quickly on things. We may not have 100% agreed, but we came to consensus. We backed each other up. And there's a couple of JA values that I think applied to us and how we operated our business. And two of the JA values were approach and nurture. And so under approach, they talk about passion, honesty, integrity, and excellence. And I think those are attributes that we strive to achieve as a company, and to honor our employees and our customers, to do the right things. And then with nurture, to unlock the power of partnerships and collaboration. And I think that was one of the other keys to our success, that we found a way to be really good collaborators and partners with our vendors, our customers, our employees, and it worked. And we had that kind of that little magic that was working for us, and we're proud of what we accomplished. We're proud of all the employees that have been with us over all these years, and what they've gone on to attain as well. And we really appreciate tonight. And we're honored to be inducted into the JA Business Hall of Fame, and we thank you for taking this time to be here this evening to help recognize the honorees and past recipients, and thank you again.
Are you sure you two don't want to add something? So, by the way, real quick, so the Dickmans are like, I don't know why we're here. We shouldn't really be here. Didn't they just say that about we're up $1 billion in sales, and you don't know why you're being honored tonight? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our final laureate of the evening, a husband and wife who've built their business around helping people enjoy the outdoors. Kent and Paula Reineking.
Kent Reineking was born in Bloomington, Indiana on April 15, 1952 to Richard and Virginia Reineking. He grew up in Bloomington with two older brothers. A fond memory for Kent growing up was learning how to skin dive and spear in local limestone quarries at the age of 10. Paula Orman was born in Terre Haute, Indiana on October 26, 1953 to parents Jerry and Sharon Orman. She grew up on Cataract Lake, near Cloverdale, Indiana, with her 4 siblings, 2 younger brothers, a younger sister, and an older sister. At age 5, Paula learned to water ski. As a kid, skiing was just what she did when she wasn't car hopping at the lake's local drive-in or putting trailers together for her dad at the family's boat business. Both Kent and Paula were influenced greatly by their parents, who were successful business owners. Kent's dad had a CPA practice. If Kent might ever have assumed that average performance was acceptable, that notion was dispelled by his father. He had a subtle way of enunciating that word, average. This always stuck with Kent. Kent's father died when he was just 13, but he knows his father has had a great impact on his success. Paula's parents moved their boat business in the late 1960s to Lake Monroe, outside of Bloomington. In 1971, Kent met Paula when he was back from college at Arizona for a summer job lifeguarding at the lake. Later, he worked for Paula's parents. Paula's father was practical and independent. He wanted Paula to be the same, to be self-reliant. Once he drew a map in the dust on the outside of a pickup truck door for Paula to follow. That's how you get there, he said. Neither Paula nor Kent finished college degrees. There was a plan to finish, but in August of 1973, they got married, and at the end of September, Paula's father mentioned to Kent that he had heard there was a new Army Corps of Engineers flood control lake being constructed near Brookville, and that perhaps Kent and Paula might like to start a new boat business at that lake. Kent had been semi-desperate all through his college years, trying to figure out what his career might be. No conventional career that he was aware of sounded exciting. But the adventure of exploring this possible business venture at the suggestion of his new father-in-law, something tangible to go try and do. That was not academia? Kent asked Paula if she would entertain this notion. As Paula has remembered, I just said yes one time. Their first business accomplishment was finding and buying property at what was to become Brookville Lake. It became their new reality, not a fairy tale adventure. They built the first building on their own. Kent got a book on how to lay up concrete block. There was nowhere to go but up, literally. In 1974, the lake began to fill.
I have the pleasure of talking about Kent and Clover Reinekeen. I call her Clover. I think most of you know her as Paula. But this goes back to a 40-year relationship. I've known them since they were teenagers, and I guess I was a teenager with them. And what a great story, just a classic dream, entrepreneurial dream, where they started. So here's this young couple with this crazy dream, building next to an empty farm fields, building a marina, hoping it'll fill with water at some point down the road. And thank God it did. So now they had a lake, by God, a real lake to work from. And so I came in, they were actually building their own building. I drove up, I was an insurance agent, I had known them and they had asked me to provide some insurance. So there they are with a plumb line setting the cinder block in a corner of the building. And I promised Clover I would not say anything about how good she looked in her Daisy Duke shorts, and I'm gonna keep my promise. But those two partnered shoulder to shoulder. They were truly a partnership.
Their first full business season was 1975. They were open 7 days a week. It was consuming, and there was always anticipation of making the next mortgage payment. They've seen countless highs and lows over the years. Some of the most challenging times of business were 19% interest rates in 1981 and rainy holiday weekends. They have vivid memories of crazy storms like Hurricane Ike hitting the marina in 2008.
I work at an accounting firm. I've been working at that firm for about 10 years now, and I started working with Kent and Paula around 2015, so it's been a little while. One of their values that I think is the most important is just their kindness. It's really easy to work hard for people like Kent and Paula because they're just so kind. And when I asked her what has motivated you to keep going through all the years, she told me that she just wanted to help people be able to get outdoors. And I think that's great because there are a lot of benefits, health benefits, mental health benefits to getting outdoors. And it's just something that they are being very successful at instilling in other people.
The business expanded in 1989 after completing a lease agreement with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, allowing them to potentially build a marina, restaurant, lodging, and golf course. The structuring of leases and the initial construction of the marina were facilitated in no small way by two prominent individuals likely in the audience tonight, Bob Beaver and Gary Clear. Over the last 30-plus years, Kent has earned, for better or worse, his own unofficial law degree from the University of Boston, Beaver, Forest, Cross, and Sickman.
In 1991 through 96, they started Ainsley's Cafe. Interesting, again, this young couple, against all odds, decides to run a restaurant. Those of you know, restaurant business is very difficult. Well, it was difficult for them. It didn't go well. And they finally gave up and hired a manager, and that went even worse. And in marched Gallo and Linda Molina, who saved them, and they operate that restaurant to this day and do a marvelous job, and they're forever grateful to the Molinas for the work they've done and the partners they are at Ainsley's Cafe.
Kent and Paula have hired a bunch of high school and college kids over the years. Some of those kids are with them now. Full-timers and managers in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. They learned to multitask. You might housekeep a condo, then take an office phone call for a boat dock or rental, then go to the golf course to check in a group of stay-and-play golfers. You might ride on a marina rescue boat, tie on a tow line to a stranded boat, and on the way back learn that on the water it's called a tow line, not a tow rope. These jobs aren't just for seasonal staff. They all do this stuff. Kent says a past summer dock attendant and boat handler, now Manhattan banker, recently told his mother while hanging a swing for his daughters, "Mom, I know for a fact these knots will not slip. I learned them at Kent's Harbor Marina."
You know, when you think about this young couple, the skill sets that they've developed to be successful, they've been developers, they've been engineers, they've been restaurateurs, they're agronomists. Kent knows an awful lot about golf courses and greens and how to keep them green and all the things that go along with that.
You can go there and spend some time on the lake, play some golf, there's lodging, there's a nice restaurant, and the best part about that is you don't have to drive a whole day to make that happen. So it's incredible what has happened with that area since they've gotten involved. One of the things about the Rhina Kings, and I think what makes them so deserving of praise, is that they don't want it. They're actually very humble people. And I know that there was a little bit of apprehension about being the center of attention, but I think that's exactly why they deserve the award. It's just because they're not out there telling everybody we did this awesome thing. It's the result of other people noticing what they've done and realizing that it should be appreciated.
The journey that they have been on is incredible, and when you look where this young couple started and where they ended today, I mean, they're in the Warren Buffett Entrepreneurial Hall of Fame. I know they're not billionaires, but where they started, destitute, living in the palace with birds, and creating a business in basically a dust bowl, waiting for it to fill up with water, is an incredible journey. And then today to look at the finished product with a condo, swimming pool, marina, golf course, restaurant, it's amazing. I pinch myself when I go down there, and the joy that they give to so many people. I'm very envious of their life product.
Some of their happiest memories in life were laying their eyes on their son, Benjamin Walter Reineking, his cottage wedding ceremony at the lake to wife, Han, and now the birth of their first grandson in March 2024. The couple says, as they look back on the business, they know that success is not measured in dollars alone. Of course, dollars do help facilitate success, but for Kent and Paula, their business became their way of life and reflects their values. They value and enjoy being connected to the natural outdoor world. You might consider the business as a conduit for visitors to find their way to the lake. Their customers and employees seem to appreciate connecting with water, land, fish, and wildlife. Looking forward, the couple believes that their business remains relevant as long as people see the benefit from this connection that they only help to facilitate. So, after 50 years, it seems that a big slice of what they really do is stewardship, working at being stewards of their corner of Brookville Lake. Junior Achievement is proud to honor two of this year's laureates for their 2024 Business Hall of Fame, Kent and Paula Reineking.
There you go. That's yours.
Let's see if I can do without glasses. Well, we sound a lot better on that thing than we really are. Well, thank you, Eric, and Anna's not here tonight, but that was very nice. There was a vote, and Paula was unanimous. I was selected to be our spokesperson. Thank you. This is certainly an honor for us. With Kents Harbor Marina and the Sagamore Resort being semi-secluded away on the lake, we were truly surprised that anyone would ever even think about honoring us for our endeavors. You can get closer, but you probably should. Our endeavors would not be so noteworthy if not for a lot of special people, many of whom are in this room and have helped us find our way over the last 50 years. Yeah, 50 years. Obviously, when you take a look at least at Paula, maybe not me, we got our start when we were still in diapers. As a matter of fact, where's Eric? Our insurance agent in the beginning was also in diapers. Mr. Eric Van Vliet, you may be aware that Eric, if you know him, occasionally voices concerns regarding his relationship with Father Time, if anybody knows Eric. And this is nothing new. When he wrote that first policy, he was already worried about the perils of becoming age 2. As Eric would say, he pondered the anguish of someday giving up his favorite baby rattle. Thank you, Eric. Where are you? I had to get back at you. And the rest of your crew, everybody at Van Vliet. And Brad, please don't throw your dad out yet. Next, Paul and I would like to thank people sitting at our 2 tables, here and here. Our son Ben runs Harbor Links Golf Shop. And Ben just became a father on February 28th. I don't have this written down, but I took a look at this baby, and I don't know if anybody else has ever had this experience, but this baby is perfect. I mean, he is perfect. His face is perfect, his ears are perfect, everything is perfect.
Back to the script.
He's Asian, but he takes after me. Ben's friend, probably best friend, Corey Vondermeulen, is right here in the checkered shirt. And Corey, where was I? Corey's our general office manager. And he and Ben first began working together at about the age of 4, we decided, at Tot Spot Nursery School. Then we have David Clapp, our service manager, whose father, by the way, just had open heart surgery today. And David was still getting to see us stand up here and me make a fool of myself. And then we have Craig Hoffman, who's our sales manager, and his wife, Angie. And did I get this wrong? No, because I've got another Angie. Sorry. And then we have Pam Myers, who runs our marina department, marina office. And together, those 3, just Craig and Pam and David, we figure you got about 70 years cumulatively working for us. These are the people that make it possible for us to manage the assortment of facilities that we do offer. And we could not do that without you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you all. At the other table, we have people that drove like 9 million miles to get here because as we know, we're down that way. Chris and Belinda Brown, and Ted and Angie Harmeyer, Glenn Saccone, and Keith Meyer and Stacy, who's with him tonight. They've all been dear friends and supported us for umpteen years with a very strong connection to Kents Harbor and the Sagamore Resort. And I mean really connected. So thank you very much for coming up here tonight. And then at another very special table, we have the Molina family. As Eric mentioned, Gallo and Linda operated Ainsley's Cafe since 1997. And Ainsley's has undergone 2 expansions since then. And their dedication is what makes Ainsley such a unique and fun dining experience on the lake. I believe they opened this season, just my plug for you guys, they opened this season on March 28th. That's the day before Good Friday. You need to come. Thank you very much, Gallo and Linda. And David. And I also want to thank a lot of other, we seem to have all of our professional people here in Richmond. So I want to thank some other Richmond professionals who've supported us for so many years and perhaps even have boats in our marina, like Mr. Bob Dickman here, that has been a steadfast docker for many years. Thank you, Bob. And I know she's here. Then we have someone who happens to have the fastest boat on Brookville Lake. Now, you probably all know who this is, but we'd like to thank Mrs. Deborah Edelman, who has that fastest of fast boats, and who takes care of all of our recycling needs. Thank you very much, Deborah. Then we have Gary Clear, who we saw quite a few times. And now I found out that really it's not anything about Gary Clear, it's Mr. C. You kept him hidden all this time. Gary was with Bank One just shortly after, there you are, just shortly after First National Bank, right? How long after First National was Bank One? That's who First National became. I know, but I mean, how long after? No, how long after First National stopped and Bank One started? It was immediate. Yeah, short, really short. Yeah, yes. So Gary helped facilitate and secure funding for our initial marina construction, that probably was a little bit like, should we do this? This is not normal stuff to do. So they did that, and Gary did. And then when he was with First Bank, he took a second chance on us and funded another marina expansion. And then, of course, he couldn't have done that without Lori Carr. Lori Carr sent us flowers today, and thank you very much, Lori. So thank you, Gary, for making sure we could keep going. The folks at Brady Ware began minding our financial P's and Q's when Luke Ware still came into the office. And where's Jeff? Right there. You remember Luke? So we started off with Gary Adamson and then Jeff. And now we're supervised by Anna May and Mark Cassins. And of course, Linda Henderson, she watches over all of them. Linda, by the way, does a lot of special paintings for us. We commission her. Then we have Bob Beaver at BBFCS. It kind of changes every once in a while. He's personally educated us for many years on the finer points of business law. When Bob hasn't been occupied writing our leases and facilitating our condo association, and helping us work with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and helping us work with the United States Army Corps of Engineers, he waves his magic wand, don't you, Bob, and becomes our Justice of the Peace, and comes down with his wife, Amy, and marries our son, Ben, and his beautiful wife, Han, at the lake. Thank you, Bob. It's probably really fortunate for me, Bob, don't you think, that you don't handle divorces? Probably, yeah. Thank you, Bob. 50 years ago, just this past January, somebody pulled a lever at the dam at Brookville Lake. Well, it wasn't Brookville Lake yet. It was transforming 20 miles of river into the deepest body of water in this state. And Paul and I were there planning our start. But first, where are all the kids? Where are all the junior achievement kids? Did they all go away already? They're hiding in the basement. Are they really? They're not around? I was going to say that if any of them were wondering what they were going to do for their future career, they probably heard some old guy looks like about me that would say to them perhaps, if you pick the right occupation, you'll never work a day in your life. This is absolutely not true. Anything worth achieving requires your commitment and lots of hard work. The trick with work is realizing that when you do something productive, you feel a whole lot better about yourself than when you sit around and do nothing. So anyway, I'll close. Back to Paula and Kent. When the dam closed, at the time, 50 years ago, we kind of thought we knew where we were going. And the beauty of it is, we didn't. That sketchy trail led us through some pretty challenging twists and turns, would you say? But it's been a pretty good trail, though. Are you glad we found it?
Yeah, we're still on it.
Never boring? Right, Paula?
Never boring.
Thank you all very much for this honor. We really thought this had to be a mistake.
Why are they calling us?
Thank you all very much.
Congratulations to all of our honorees tonight. As all of your phones have already told you, there is a tornado warning until 9:15. So be careful as you leave and as you make your way home. If you need to stay a little while, you can. But again, be careful as you wrap up this evening's festivities. Thank you all who are sponsors and to everyone who made tonight possible. Thank you so much and have a great evening.